So Joe Biden, the idiot that he is, had some interesting things to say that I want to watch this quick clip of and kind of highlight and discuss. It's not just ramifications. This is an idea, certainly by the authoritarian left, that they actually believe. They've shown you, you've seen it exercised and manifest in so many various ways. And this is what this Mr. Joe Biden had to say. Here, listen.
Rebecca put a teacher's creed into words when she said, "There's no such thing as someone else's child. No such thing as someone else's child. Our nation's children are all our children."
Not how it works.
Rebecca.
Now, first of all, that's socialistic nonsense, and I know he kind of bumbles around, so it may be difficult to understand what it is that he's saying. But what he said was that there's no such thing as someone else's children, and he said that the nation's children are our children. And look, this is, again, socialistic line of thinking. They have, through public education by itself and alone, they have created a system where they have, and by they I'm talking about the state, created this system that has allowed them to churn out the next little generation of minions and soldiers. And because it's been ingrained in everybody's head that you must drop your students or your kids off to these indoctrination camps, that they're there for most of their youth. Someone else is teaching them the basics and other things. That's by design. That's the system in itself and by its design. Now they're a little more bold in what their intentions are. I covered this story not too long ago where you had this whole parental rights thing coming up. And you had this op-ed. I can't remember if it was Washington Post. I can't remember exactly where it was at. You can go watch my previous video on it. But the person that wrote the op-ed was talking about and demonizing this concept of parental rights. It's this whole it takes a village type of situation to where they can demonize you, because the idea is that, well, the parents and their ideas are toxic. They don't know any better. And it's the state and its minions and its agents that are better suited to raise your children. And because of that, they're able to come up with so many different policies, stealing from you, pimping you out of money to pay for this because, well, you want to, of course, care for the kids, don't you? While then trying to criminalize you, or at least demonize you, if not criminalize, for just being a regular person and a regular parent, when any sane person understands that that is your responsibility. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't look at kids as the innocent people that they are, and the whole goal of the parent, you're trying to protect the sort of sanctity of that innocence that does exist, right? And you have people that want, of course, aid in helping, let's say, youth. I have no problem with it. I don't think anybody else has issues with it. That's still someone else's children. Okay. And I think this is what happens with, like the whole, I don't know if you guys remember, of course you remember what happened in Florida when that whole parental rights bill, whatever you want to call it, bill came up, and you had so many people talking about our kids because they were so upset at this bill because they couldn't talk to fourth graders about sexuality, and they found that such a threat, and they kept using terms like our kids, when it's like, no, those kids are my children. It's like, no, those aren't your children. And that's because they're purposely trying to blur those lines with that relationship between the teacher and the children. They don't look at themselves like they're providing a service, which is all they are doing, right? It's a job. That's not to say that you shouldn't give a crap about your job. You should, but understand that's exactly what it is. You're providing a service. It's not your job to raise them. It's a job to, let's say, if there's a level of expertise that you have and you're trying to, let's say, teach this kid about math or whatever the subject matter may be, whatever it is, then that's your goal, to have that lesson or whatever resonate with them so that it's comprehensive and they can understand it and take that, gain some new tools, whatever. But that's not what it is they want. They think it's their responsibility to raise them, which is why they use language and rhetoric like that. And they were trying to normalize it because the whole intention here is to separate that parent from that child, and more so give let's say leeway to the state and it raising your children. when that is as dangerous as all get out. It's actually what got us in a lot of the mess it is that we have right now in this country. But imagine President of the United States saying something as just insane as that. No, someone else's children is exactly that. Someone else's children.
If you enjoyed this video and want to support other content, please become a member at ericdjuly.com. This is my own unique platform that replaced my Patreon. Our Ultramax, which is our highest tier, gets free shipping domestically even with Rippaverse orders, and are able to redeem the Creators Edition copy of ISOM #1. You can move up and down tiers or cancel at any time. Also visit Rippaverse.com. This is my comic book company that launched a $3.7 million campaign. We appreciate your support.